You're on Sunshine with Kirsty and Dan, and we are incredibly excited to be joined on the line right now by the lead singer of a band that gave, kids, but me as well, an
Mm.
anthem of my teen years.
hmm
It's the man, the myth, the front man of Wheatus. It's Mr. Brendan B. Brown. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. How are you guys doing?
Oh, it's
We're
so good.
we're just excited to talk to someone whose initials are BBB. That's pretty cool. Is that
Actually,
what you keep the B?
yeah, it's three flat notes is what it really is.
Oh,
Clever. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. So, Brendan, we're going to get straight into it. I've always wanted to know, where does Wheatus come from?
mm.
What does that mean?
Plus, my dad used to call my brother, my sister, and I that when we were tiny little kids, when we were infants. It's this devolved version of the word little. He would say little, little, which turned into leedle, leedle, and that turned into weedle, weedle, and that became Wheatus, Wheatus, Wheatus. And for some reason or another, he sort of like mockingly referred to me as Wheatus in my adult life. Um,
Okay.
at points when I was like an older teenager and stuff. So I was like, okay, old man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, okay. We need to ask then, as a teenager, were you a teenage dirtbag? Is how autobiographical is this song?
Technically, in the town I grew up in the 80s, yes, I would have been classed as a dirtbag. But, you know, I only carried a buck knife for a few years. I never tried to kill any of my friends. And yeah, so yeah, it's like it's a weird, like, it's a stigma, you could say,
Yeah,
or
well,
it was. Yeah.
as far as America goes, you're doing great, you know?
What is a dirtbag? What would you consider a dirtbag? What is a
A
dirtbag?
dirtbag to me is
So,
that can't be told, you know?
Mm.
right.
Does whatever they want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an
And carries a
identity
knife.
song. Right. Well, you never know, but I
No,
hope
good.
not. But yeah, uh, in the context of the song, it's somebody whose identity is sort of written profoundly inside them, and they're not going to change. And um, sometimes that can be difficult. You can face a lot of ostracism or criticism just being who you are. And if you decide that you're going to bear it and just be what you are, no matter what, then you are a dirtbag. I'm afraid to say.
I love it. I love it. Now, look, here in Australia, that song
Mhm.
went went triple platinum
Mhm.
and all the way to number one. And we're pretty sure that it was Australia was first. We think we were the first to make it reach those milestones. What
You
was
are
it?
correct.
Yes, okay.
Mm.
What was it like having that happen so far away from home, especially, in the olden days before streaming?
I'll tell you, it was a shock, and then it was a renewal. 3 days before we flew down here, we were playing, Lawrence, Kansas, in front of two people who thought we were Smash Mouth, and then we were on Cold Live at the Chapel and Channel V and
Yeah.
Triple J, Triple M, and it was all happening. And you know, um, I felt pretty good about it because my favorite band of all time since I was a kid was AC/DC. So I was like, "Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
This must mean something," you know. But you did it first, and we're so grateful, so grateful.
Australia.
Oh, I love you even more now that you love Akadaka, I tell you. But does this recent TikTok trend of people being shocked that you sing the girl part in Teenage Dirtbag, has that surprised you as much as it surprised us?
Well, back when we did it, there was no social media, so you couldn't get on your stream and say, "Hey, I'm going to try this girl voice in my new song." There was just you were doing it in a vacuum, and you didn't know. I mean, I was terrified that it would be, lampooned, and to some degree it was. I mean, but I think eventually people have come to understand that we meant it and that it was authentic and that there were no effects used. It wasn't a trick. So
Mm.
that's one of the reasons we continue to try and keep it exactly like it was, same key, same voice, same everything. So, yeah.
It's because I've always been like, well, obviously that's Brendan.
Yeah.
That's the same voice, but people are freaking out. Like, what? That's the singer. Anyway, it's ridiculous. So look, we'll get to serious questions
Mm.
now. So you've been in the industry for over 20 years now.
Mm.
How has the music industry changed since, Wheatus started? And, how do you navigate it from there to now? And, imagine being a new artist now. What's the differences?
Well, the big difference is that from the person starting up as a songwriter with 100 followers to Taylor Swift, artists are taking back control.
Mm.
Beyonce has done this, and it's like it's a really good lesson to learn that, like, even Little Wheatus, we re-recorded our first record and we own that one now as a result. So we did a little Taylor version, but anyway, the access to an audience is much easier, but I think the downside is a lot of pressure to create content that is not necessarily your art form, right? Like, you have to be like smiley and happy, and I mean, I doubt that Tom York was very TikTokable when he was writing Fake Plastic Trees.
No.
It was probably pretty dark.
Yes.
Bleak. So this is the thing, like, what are we going to miss if somebody isn't capable of the sort of sunshiny aspect of social media? We might miss something really important. And whenever I see any of these young artists stressing out on TikTok about, oh, I'm so tired of creating content, I'm like, well, don't for a little while and go write some masterpiece and then come back, because that'll be better than like daily updates that you're tired of, So
Yes.
That's so true.
So true.
Even us as radio hosts, when Kirsty started in radio, there were no cameras. There was no TikTok. I came in and it was like, hey, you have to do this TikTok dance. You have to do this Instagram reel. You have to do this. I'm like, hey, I'm here to have fun and talk.
I'm just too old for that.
Now, you're in Australia. You're here right now. You're in Brisbane, and you've got some really cool shows happening with the lead singer of Everclear. What can people expect from these performances?
Yeah, it's very intimate. We're talking about the songs as we do them, where they came from, were they true stories. Art in particular from Everclear is one of my longtime inspirations of life and of songwriting. He's one of the toughest guys I know, and he's also like, he gets on stage every night and he makes people understand where he was coming from in 1993 or 94. And I'm like, how do you do that, man? Like, how do you tap all the way back into that and make it fresh? So it's a really good lesson to learn watching him every night. But we do interact with the audience. My set in particular is 100% requests. I have some songs I like to play, but if you want to shout them at me and tell me what to do, Wheatus as a band is ready with like 63 or 65 songs, somewhere in that vicinity, like stuff we've rehearsed and we're ready with. So
that's impressive.
Yeah, so I mean, that doesn't mean there won't be a clam here and there. I'll definitely make a mistake, but I think that the opportunity here for me is one I've never had, which is to watch another songwriter who I have always looked up to do this craft at the best of his ability, which is really remarkable. So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. I'm in the audience after my own, watching, and I'm like taking notes. It's great.
Well, speaking of fans, we wanted to know, can our music director BT jump up and sing "Sunshine" with you at one of your Perth shows? Because he would love it.
Sunshine, that's the song. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll add. That's in Perth. That's happening in Perth. You said.
Yeah.
Okay. What's this person?
He also wants free tickets. There's a bit of he will perform
his performance, free tickets.
It's a thing for your supper kind of thing, is it?
Yeah, and that's fair. I think that's fine. You didn't have to pay to go to your show, and he shouldn't either. No, he's actually so jealous that he's not sitting here right now. He comes in later, sucked in, BT. Now, okay.
Well,
so
the answer is yes. We'll get you a microphone if you really know what you're doing. You got to keep up with me. You got it.
It's good.
Right.
He's in cover bands. He knows what he's doing. He's all good.
Okay.
He's in a Jimmy Eat World cover band.
Oh, that's cool.
I
didn't
right?
even. That's cool.
Yeah.
What are they called?
They just play the middle 7 times. Nah, I don't know. All right. So, look, yeah. So that's exciting. He's going to be very pumped about that.
Yes.
Now, look, we're going to finish off. Let's talk about this infamous Top of the Pop situation, right? Are the stories true? Is the whole, you changing the name to, Suck Phony? Was that born out of that night? Is it, how real are these stories?
No, all of the stories that I've ever told about us being asked to lip sync are true, but the Suck Phony story has kind of spiraled out. I'll tell you the true story of that. We were scheduled in the summer of 2001 to play a festival in Finland in the Arctic Circle where the sun never sets with Green Day and Stone Temple Pilots, right? And it was like the most cool thing we were doing the whole summer. 2 weeks before the show, Green Day and Stone Temple canceled and went home. They canceled their tour. So the promoter said, hey, you know, since we booked this, Dirtbag is a hit in Finland. Do you want to take the headliner slot? And we were like, of course we do. What he didn't tell us is he also, in order to make it make sense, he had changed it to a black metal festival. Now, black metal in Finland is a serious, and it does not include us. Now, I love that music. Always going to be a fan, but I know that that's not my band. So in the middle of the song Sunshine, ironically enough, I get hit in the chest with what I could only describe as a half a Belgian block. Like it was a huge brick, and it just beamed me right off the chest, knocked the wind out of me. And I thought, you know, that was a couple of inches higher, I'd have no teeth for the rest of this tour, you know?
Yeah.
So I, like the green first timer that I was, I challenged the guy who threw it to a fight on stage, which was a huge mistake. Never do that, upcoming bands. Never, ever, ever do anything like that. 30 seconds later, there's 5 security guards on top of a 7-foot Viking, and he's climbing the barrier and he's getting through, you know? And I'm like, all right, so now he's going to kill me on stage. This is great. And he's at the top of his lungs, right, in his best English, he is shouting at me, you suck, phony.
Well, there you go.
We recorded that show. It's on a DAT that I have. And we said that night, we have to make a live record called Suck Phony. Like, that's what this is. This is how this is going to go. So
Inspiration. Almost
that's where the title actually came from.
That is so cool.
Such a great story. And we're glad to see you are here alive to tell it. Like, we really are.
I was not killed by a Viking that night. No.
Yeah. BT won't throw a brick at you.
No.
He may throw some hugs and cuddles your way, but that'll be it.
No bricks. No bricks.
No bricks. Well, hey, we are very excited that you're coming to Perth. Look, I don't know if you know, but not many, like some people don't come to Perth. Some people go, no, we're not coming to Perth.
Yeah.
But you did.
Well, I'm going to try and sneak off to Bond's grave while I'm there and you know,
yes.
just pay homage. And it's one of my favorite places. I've been only a few times, but it's lovely. As remote as it is, we love Perth. We love the West Coast, and we're coming. Every time we can actually do it, we're coming over.
We love
Bring
it.
it.
We love it. We love it. Love it. Look, we're going to let you go. You got to go get ready for your show in Cleveland, Queensland.
Yes.
Which I didn't know existed, but hey, let's go rock and roll. Thank you so much for your time this morning. We can't wait to see you here in Perth.
Thank you, guys. Much love. Thanks for having me.